Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush episode review. This time we will be reviewing episode 44 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush, which, generally speaking, I thought was another really enjoyable episode for what's been a really strong start to what we imagine is the final arc of Season 1. So this episode did catch me off guard in a couple of different ways, and the first was probably the fact that it was a non-duel episode. I was under the impression that Yudias and the fleet commander, we learn his name is Dudi Ducasse, were going to duel in this episode, but that wasn't the case. Really, the whole episode was them fending off the invasion of the Dudi Ducasse fleet and getting onto the starship where they could kind of interact with the supreme commander of that fleet. So we learn a lot about the war on Velgears, which is really cool. We learn a little bit more about the cluster, that there's 8 planets, and that, you know, for a very long time there have been 2 sides that have been feuding, 2 different factions that have been feuding. Obviously, the faction that is on Yudias' side, and the other faction that we don't really know too much about right now. And of course, Yudias is dead set on using rush duels as a tool to bring the war to a peaceful end. Well, we also learned about the Dudi Ducasse fleet in this episode, and that they are a very strong fleet that has also kind of just been on the outskirts of this war and has not taken a side. Now, there was a little bit of an error in the subs that the Entame subs team noted here. In the subs at one point, it says that if they were to take a side, it could turn the tide of the war. That is an error. Basically, the actual dialogue in that moment is just that they would be a very powerful ally to have on their side. And that is pretty important because obviously, if Yudias is saying they could turn the tide of battle, it's implying that one of the sides is actually winning. We think that these factions could be at a complete stalemate, and so I did want to just kind of point that out before I get on with it. But yeah, so we learned that the Ducasse fleet can be a massive, massive ally and a really powerful one at that. Well, due to how quickly the ship was traveling at, Yuumu is the first to realize that they've basically entered Dudi Ducasse territory in space and have basically broken into their territory without any sort of reason to do so. They basically invaded their airspace, and Yudias realizes how disastrous this can be, and they try to reach out to the the supreme commander of the fleet, and he's very much kind of laid back and chill. We learn later that the reason he's so laid back and chill and doesn't really provide a direct answer is that he has a massive indecision problem. And listen, I know people that are like this, not as bad as this guy, but you ask someone, hey, what do you want to get for dinner? I don't know, I'm down for anything. What do you want to get? Oh, I don't know, I'm down for anything. And then you're pondering for 40 minutes with your friend over what to get for dinner because neither of you can make a decision. I'm not like that. I'll just say something, but I know people that are very indecisive, so I'm sure this is a character that, I mean, this is an extreme example, but I'm sure some of you guys could probably relate to. He just doesn't want to give an answer one way or another. That's probably a big reason that they have stayed out of the war, because he literally doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what answer is the right answer. And I don't think it's a matter of him second-guessing himself. I think that he literally just can't come to, I don't think his brain works in the way that he's able to come to a definitive answer. So that might change in the next episode, because obviously we don't see him duel, and I'm sure we'll get a lot more on him in the next episode. But basically what happens is he sends in his troops to invade Mutsuba Town in order to try to track down Yudias. He wants Yudias to be captured, and Yudias thinks that if he gets captured, who knows when he'll be released, and he won't be able to use rush duels to end the war. And of course, we know with Zwijio running amok, that would be a disaster. So basically, everyone in Mutsuba Town decides to get together. They do a production where a few of them act as Yudias. Now, very quickly, the Supreme Commander sees through this and realizes that Yudias is not actually giving himself up or offering himself up, and he's probably snuck underground. So they get chased underground by the Ducasse agents, and they are about to get caught before Asaka intervenes and uses a machine in order to stop them. And this was a really cool sequence because we see almost all of the characters you can think of be useful in this episode. Fisher Sky, Chupataro even, which, by the way, I think Chupataro committed like a quadruple murder. I think he literally sucked the blood and the life out of these soldiers. It looks like they're legitimately like dead or harmed or injured in that warehouse. So that's a little concerning, especially because you're trying to stay neutral because you don't want to actually cause harm to this fleet because you want to use them as an ally. You don't want to make them choose the other side in this war. So, you know, Chupataro going a little AWOL there, but you know, I guess we'll see if anything comes of that. I'm sure it won't, but I thought that was crazy. Seeing the Jersey Devils was cool. The Nostradamus character. Like, it was all really, really cool and all really well done, and it makes the writing feel a little bit more coherent when all of your side characters, even if it's not a major role in the plot, all have something to do. So, credits to the episode for that. That was really cool. And of course, Yudias, Yuhi, and Yuumu put their wings on. They fly into space. Yuhi and Yuumu are able to breathe in space, which I thought was very weird. I thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, we know that there's been theories that Yuhi could be an alien, more specifically Yuhi just because of the Earthdamar connection. But I thought that was weird. They just flew into space. No issue. I mean, it's Yugioh, so I guess we're not going to, like, really hyper examine that, but like if it ends up that these two are somehow alien descendants, this could have been the first scene that maybe really confirmed that or heavily foreshadowed it. So again, it's Yugioh. Do we really want to look too deep into that? I don't know, but I gotta mention it because I thought it was interesting. They get to the Supreme Commander's station. We see him. I think he looks awesome. And it's so funny because you look at this guy and you're like, this guy looks like he could start and end a few wars on his own. Like, he looks like a war-hungry, crazy, jacked dude. How is he the one who in this war has been staying neutral for all these years? Well, again, it's because he can't actually make a decision. I guess he's going to use Arcana Forces in the next episode, which is, of course, a GX archetype played by Zwijio. It looks like there's a mini The World, which is freaking awesome. So we'll see him and Yudias duel in next week's episode. We also have to talk about what was going on with Ron and the Earthdamar at the beginning of this episode because, man, oh man, at least to me, it's terrifying. Zwijio seemingly told Muda Velgeir exactly how to phrase the proposal. Tell the Earthdamar that I want to have a lot of fun with it. And the Earthdamar, we just learned last week, has like a spirit and a personality of its own. Seems to have that young, innocent, whimsical sort of personality. And so upon hearing that Zwijio wants to have fun with it, it gets very excited and it immediately accepts. And it takes Muda. It says we have to make a pit stop somewhere. No idea where that pit stop is. That I thought was interesting. Is it going to maybe try to go back to Yuhi, who was its original, like, owner? I have no idea, but I thought that line was interesting. And we learn another power that it has is it can just fly through the universe at a hyper speed or at light speed because it just takes Muda. It kind of encapsulates it, and then Muda and the possessed Ron fly out of the Earth atmosphere, and they're gone, and they're going to wherever the Earthdamar wants them to go. But the end destination that the Earthdamar has agreed to is, let's team up with Zwijio. We're gonna have a lot of fun, and Zwijio is gonna use the Earthdamar's infinite power here. I mean, we're learning things about the Earthdamar now, it seems, every week. Last week, we learned that it can possess people. We learned that it has a personality of its own. And this week, we learned that it has the ability to fly and travel at super fast speeds and break atmospheres. So we're learning more and more about the Earthdamar's power as the show progresses. And I have a feeling that the true amount of power that this being or this entity holds is absolutely terrifying, and that's something that I am really nervous for our team here, especially if Zwijio gets his hands on it. We saw Zwijio with a glimpse of the Earthdamar's power in the very first arc. What's he going to do when he fully unleashes it? And he's got a page from the Lug, and we know the Lug has an insane amount of power, and he now has the notes that Kawhi Tell has written on the Earthdamar. So Zwijio is cooking up something big here, and that should probably terrify all of us. It definitely scares me. and we'll just wait and see what happens there. But they really did a good job of continuing to play on the Earthdamar mystery, and I thought all in all, the episode was really, really well curated. For a non-duel episode, it was probably one of Go Rush's best. And outside of the very first episode of this arc, which was the Summon Chance one, I thought that one was okay. Every single episode of this arc has just been super, super good, and I cannot wait to see where the rest of this season takes us. But guys, let me know your thoughts on episode 44. Any predictions that you have for these characters, anything that you might have found interesting and maybe foreshadowy, because we know this team loves putting little foreshadows in these episodes that we might not even think of until the actual plot execution of those foreshadowing moments has been executed. So let me know all your thoughts on that in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. A special thank you to my Platinum tier patron, Panther J, to my Diamond tier patrons, Latrell Smith and Jesse Woods, and to my Egyptian God tier patron, Pink Penguin. Thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon and whoever is a YouTube channel member. You guys help me out so much. And if you want some exclusive channel perks, definitely check out both of those sites and features. Be sure to check out my channel for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime content. And until next time, I hope you have an amazing day. Take care, guys.
Why can't we see that I'm speaking with sincerity? And I think you should make a lot more money, 'cause it's what's best.